The last Subaru Forester Hybrid was, well, hybrid by name, but not really by nature. This new one, a significant step up, but it has to be because the hybrid SUV battlefield is now more important than ever. Hybrids are featuring far more frequently in car sales internal search data, and this is reflected in the real world. Look at the sales figures, and hybrids are booming. Adding spice to the story is the fact that Subaru's hybrid tech leverages Toyota know-how, and Toyota, they are the plugless hybrid OGs. Remember the Prius, 1990s, the late 90s? That was pretty cool. Anyway, we're here to see if it's got the chops to tussle with the Tucson Hybrid, which in my view is one of the best plugless hybrids you can get in this mid-size SUV segment. I'm going to tell you which one sips the least fuel, which one has the best tech, which one will not send you into a violent rage when you go to load it up with groceries, and which one is better off the beaten track. Ultimately, I'm here to see which one of these cars is the easiest to live with. So, grab a cuppa and let's see if the new Forester is ready to claim hybrid hero status. There's a lot of interest around the new Subaru Forester, and for good reason. It's got a rugged new look, improved versatility, and importantly, it's got stronger Toyota hybrid tech. Our first drives of the new Forester have been rather positive, but it's got a tall mountain to scale to defeat the Tucson Hybrid, which beat the RAV4 Hybrid last time out. The Subaru and Hyundai hybrids have a lot in common as well. They're both mid-size SUVs with 5 seats, loads of safety features, plenty of convenience and tech, and of course, clever hybrid powertrains that everyone's frothing about these days. So the SUVs we're testing here today were supposed to be the top spec models, the burger with the lot, the top of the tree. And while that's the case for the Subaru, it's not the case for the Hyundai. The Tucson Premium we were supposed to take delivery of was wounded in battle before we got our hands on it. So instead, we've got the Tucson Elite. We hope the Premium a speedy recovery. So instead we've got this fella, which isn't too different, but will set you back around $56,000 once on-road costs are added. And on the other side, we have the Subaru Forester Touring Hybrid, which will cost about $60,000 on the button once you add on-road costs. So it's about $4,000 between them. If we had the original premium grade, it would have been about $4,000 more than the Subaru. So apples and oranges. Anyway, premium paint is free on the Subaru Forester, which I love. So any paint color, you don't pay extra for it. This one's called River Rock, and I think it looks fantastic. It's got a little bit of matte in there. This one is called Titan Grey, and every color on the Hyundai except for white is going to cost you between $750 and $1,000. This one, $750. Both cars have solid 5-year unlimited kilometre warranties and 12-month service intervals. The Forester is a little more expensive to service over its lifetime, but the Hyundai pulls ahead in terms of after-sales care, with free roadside assistance for the lifetime of the vehicle, if you service it with Hyundai. The Subaru comes with a disappointingly short 1-year roadside assistance package, which is via a complimentary motoring club membership, which is going to be either with like NRMA or RACV or RACQ, depending on which state you live in. In terms of retained value, the Subaru pulls slightly ahead, but it's very close. When it comes to the designs, these two are chalk and cheddar. The Tucson is very much a futuristic looking vehicle with loads of LEDs up front and ultra modern lines and angles. Hyundai has never been afraid to be daring and dramatic with its car designs, but this can sometimes backfire and make them age prematurely. A little bit like Andy since working with me. But what do you reckon? Has this design aged well, or do you think it's going to look a bit weird in the next few years? Have your say in the comments. It rides on 18-inch alloy wheels, which are pretty radically designed, and gets a fancy shark fin antenna, integrated roof spoiler, and a full-width rear LED light bar, bookended by the LED taillights. It feels to me like it's from a sci-fi movie, and it continues that theme inside, but more on that soon. The Forester, meanwhile, is clearly channeling adventurous vibes and a love of the outdoors, and while it still has a modern aesthetic, there's a ruggedness to its shape that I find rather appealing. While it does look a bit Americanized, it kind of works in its favor. USA! USA!
It rides on bigger 19-inch alloy wheels, but it has a far more conservative design overall, and there's lots of words on this one. Here, here, and here. The Subaru lettering stamped into the metal tailgate is pretty cool, and it's also got a shark fin antenna, but the taillights and headlights don't really push design boundaries.
I'd argue this Subi looks too much like the previous generation from 50 paces away, and I personally don't like that. Some people will like that, but the way I see it, it's an opportunity missed. They had a chance to do something a little bit daring or courageous, and they didn't. And let's face it, this is not a Porsche 911. It doesn't have to look like every other vehicle before it. Both these hybrid SUVs are all-wheel drive, and both come with small lithium-ion batteries connected to single electric motors. And the batteries are recharged via the engines and regenerative braking. No power point required. Here's where it gets spicy. Hyundai's turbo 4-pot engine punches harder than Subaru's bigger, lazier engine, while also sipping less fuel. So it's smaller, more powerful, and more efficient. Surely winner, winner, chicken dinner. We'll find out in the real world to see just if that is true. Gearbox battle. The Hyundai rocks a slick 6-speed automatic, while the Subaru continues with a CVT with 8 stepped gears. So that gives you the pretend manual mode, if you like. Now, both vehicles can also creep around in pure electric mode until the petrol engine chimes in, and spoiler alert, the Hyundai's hybrid system is more efficient and more capable in general. However, this Subaru hybrid is a vast improvement on its predecessor. And while the Subaru does use a Toyota electric motor, it hasn't just copy and pasted the Toyota RAV4's hybrid system into this vehicle. No, this Subaru continues to use its tried and tested and much loved Boxer engine. This one is a 2.5 litre unit. It's hard to believe this car was released in 2020. Okay, so it's had a facelift since then, but I mean, this looks and feels as modern as anything out there today, and even gives some of those ultra high-tech Chinese SUVs a run for their money. I mean, you've got 2 giant high-def digital screens here. All the controls look and feel great, and you've got a little bit of separation here for the controls. Ergonomics too, really, really nice. As soon as you plonk down in the captain's chair, you kind of get a feeling for where everything is. There's no like, oh, where's this or where's that. I get that feeling that if Hyundai gets bums on seats in showrooms, they're very likely to generate a sale.
Fit and finish is very good too, with soft touch materials pretty much everywhere, from the dashboard to the doors. The power operated seats have a great range of movement through 8 directions, along with power lumbar adjust, but no memory settings. That's reserved for the premium model grade. The cushions are a little firm, and the leather quality is not exactly supple. It feels unforgiving, but should last well. And the front seats are also heated. To be honest, I prefer the seats in the Forester. They just feel a little bit more plush. These leather seats feel a bit like vinyl. And at the same token, these ones have a greater range of movement. I can get a little bit closer to the ground, which I prefer. But at the same token, it's not like the Forester's no good for taller drivers because it has a higher roof, so you still get lots of headroom up front. The steering wheel has a good range of adjustment, sensible controls, and overall material quality is surprisingly good, with not too many nasty plastics around the place, and these fabric accents are a nice touch. I like the physical audio and climate controls, and all the buttons and dials have reasonably good tactility and quality. The touch-sensitive controls look pretty schmick, and they even have a fancy blue confirmation pulse as well. The stereo isn't too bad for a 6-speaker no-name unit. It's no Bowers & Wilkins unit, but it does pretty nicely and does go pretty loud without distorting. Storage options in the Tucson are pretty good. Starts with this pretty decent sized, I'd go mid to large central box. You can get a lot in there, maybe a small pair of shoes. And there's a little incidental storage area here for your Chubba Chubs and Lifesavers. Put your lollies in there, maybe some ciggies, and two spring-loaded cup holders, which do fit the 750ml bottle. That's impressive. They'll fit coffee cups and all that stuff too. Do they fit the 1 litre Mega Gulp? No, they do not. That's a shame. The
wireless phone charger is in a great spot. I like this. So it's rubberized, so it won't move around much. But it's also got these little guardrails here, so when you're going around corners, it's not flying off. I like that. Plus, this area down here is great. You can just throw stuff in there. If this was my car, it would just fill up with junk from the kids and family, but it's nice to have. I like that. I also like the fact you've got a shelf here for passengers. So, you know, when I'm sitting in the passenger seat, throw my phone, throw my wallet, whatever, you know, my Switch, and glove box, pretty decent size for a small SUV, but there's no sunglasses holder. You do get door pockets, does fit the 1 litre, does not fit the Mega Gulp, sadly. So, sorry fella, you're out of here.
The 12.3-inch central screen is big, bright, and has a reasonably fast processor, so touch response and menu loading is fairly prompt. The menu layout is also very good, very easy to decipher at a glance. The native sat-nav works really well and can show instructions on the driver's digital display too, which is a pretty nice touch. All in all, the tech is easy and arguably pleasing to use. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto work seamlessly, while the 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, which is nestled behind the same curved glass as the central screen, looks good and delivers sharp contemporary visuals and plenty of meaningful driving data as well. It's also got good customization with a few different visual options available for the different drive modes.
Device connection is really good with this vehicle. You've got 2 USB-C ports, reasonably rapid charging, and one of them can be switched between pure charging or also acting as the USB connection between the car and the infotainment system. So could be Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And it's really nice being able to flick between that because you might have that running as wireless and you want that to be charging only. You've also got a 12-volt socket here with a beautiful little opening mechanism. I do like that. Neither vehicle in this test has a head-up display, which is a shame, but the Hyundai does have the BlueLink app, which allows for remote monitoring and functionality once you download the app to your phone and pair it with the car.
The Subaru also has this capability, but it's not yet offered in Australia. These smartphone apps allow you to lock the doors remotely from miles away, which is handy if you forget, precondition the cabin temperature, or locate your vehicle.
These apps are super handy, but privacy-conscious buyers should think twice about downloading the apps because they track your driving habits and they collect your data, and then most car companies, including Hyundai and Toyota and many, many others, will then share them with third parties and data brokers. And yeah, me personally, I'm not comfortable with that.
The reversing camera system is okay on this model grade with 3 large clear views, but there's no overhead 360-degree surround view. The front and rear parking sensors help fill in the gaps to a point.
Okay, so the Subaru's cabin doesn't quite have the wow factor of the Hyundai's interior, nor does it have that upmarket vibe, but it does feel fit for purpose. It's a bit chunkier and a bit more conventional in its layout and ergonomics overall. And I think for a lot of buyers, and especially Subaru loyalists, they're actually going to prefer that more traditional layout. And just quickly, I want to show you the keys as well. That's the Hyundai key, that's the Subaru key, and disappointingly, for an all-new 6th generation, this one hasn't changed a bit, which is disappointing. I want something special.
Material quality is on par with the Tucson for the most part, with a nice mix of soft touch materials across the doors and dashboard.
The bronze stitching along here and this sort of neoprene-like wetsuit material dotted around suits the car to a T, and I like that Subaru has leaned into that adventurous character. There's these sort of topographical maps down here. There's little Easter eggs here and there. There's some more down here with some muddy feet. And it's nice to see that there's a bit of personality in this car. They haven't just gone, here's the car, slap it in, pump them out. It's, you know, they've thought about this, and I think that really makes a difference.
The seats have a similar setup with 8-way power adjustment plus lumbar adjust for the driver, but it pulls ahead of the Hyundai with 2 seat memory settings, as well as cooled and heated seat cushions. And the front passenger has power adjustment as well. But if we had the Tucson premium spec, these would be evenly matched. Because the Forester's body isn't quite as wide as the Tucson, the seats are a little bit narrower too.
That said, the seats in the Forester have a higher quality look and feel. These microfiber inserts are lovely, and the water repellent synthetic leather upholstery, ironically, feels more supple and higher quality than the real leather in the Hyundai.
The steering wheel though feels like cheap vinyl or polyurethane, and while it has good adjustability, the controls aren't as intuitive, nor do they feel quite as nice to click and manipulate. I like that you get physical audio and temperature controls, and while the rest of the input must be done on the 11.6-inch touchscreen, they're permanently located at the bottom, which is good. The 10-speaker Harman Kardon stereo with subwoofer in the boot is very, very impressive and poops on the Hyundai's unit. And I like the traditional gear shifter compared to Hyundai's wand-style gear stick.
I must also mention the sunroof. It's huge, it's awesome, I love it. But there's one little hitch. The manually operated sunblind requires a bit of twisting and stretching to operate from all the way back there. Oh, I think I've just pulled my latissimus dorsi. Storage solutions in the Subaru are not as good as the Hyundai. So, start with the center box, it's much smaller. And some grubbers left some sugary milk drink in there. I'm lactose intolerant, so if I drank that, I would just be... Anyway, so there's a little odds and sods here for like your Tic Tacs or your Chubba Chops again. The spring-loaded cup holders aren't quite as good, but they're similarly sized. They've only got one spring loading. It's not as strong, so things are going to move around a bit. 750ml fits, 1 litre Mega Gulp does not. Get out of there. Incidental storage around this area, not as good either. So you've got the phone charger here, wireless phone charger. I like that. But the phone slides off this a lot, believe you me. I've driven this car a fair bit and it just zooms off and then it's down here and you're trying to get it. It's pretty frustrating. So that could have been a lot better. There's also no storage area under here. The glove box is roughly the same size as in the Hyundai, but it does get sunglasses holder, which I personally like. I do like being able to put my sunnies up there. Door pockets are pretty much the same as the Hyundai. They fit the 750ml bottle fine, but the Mega Gulp 1 litre,
It has 2 USB ports, A and C, usefully marked out with amperages, and there's even an AUX port for 3.5mm jacks. The only thing missing is a mini disc player. The 11.6-inch central screen is big and bold, but it's not packing as much processing hardware as the Hyundai, and this manifests in slightly slower menu loading and screen flicking, especially after startup. Once everything is loaded, it does speed up a little bit and touch response is okay. The menu layout is simple and easy to navigate, but it all looks a bit dated with squished fonts here and there. The native sat-nav supplied by TomTom works, but again, it looks about 15 years past its use-by date. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto don't fill the entire screen, but this allows the top and bottom sections to be easily accessed, which is handy. The 12.3-inch digital driver's display looks great. It's got sharp, high-definition visuals, lots of information there for you, reasonable trip information, and traditionalists will love it, especially those who have owned Subarus before, because it does mirror previous Subarus. It's all very familiar. The problem I have with it is that you've only got one tiny quadrant that has any sort of customizability or adjustability. So you've got all this digital real estate that you could adjust and play with and change, and you can't do anything with it. So it's basically does nothing different to an analog setup. While the Subaru does get a 360-degree surround view camera system, it uses up a tiny portion of the big screen, which is disappointing. It does have a curious Toyota-like 3D mode, but it can't be used when reversing, only stationary. While the Subaru has a few more premium features, including high quality and more comfortable seats, the Hyundai takes the cake overall, largely because it feels more modern and has better ergonomics. Where the Subaru gains ground is in the safety department. It's 9 airbags outnumbering the Tucson's 7. Both come with all the latest safety gadgets and tech, some of them more annoying than helpful, and both have 5-star ANCAP safety ratings. But the Subaru was tested to stricter 2024 protocols, where the Tucson has a 2021 timestamp. The back seat of the Tucson is a really nice place to hang out, and it's got really good amenity. You've got dual adjustable air vents, so both passengers can fiddle with their airflow, plus there's 2 USB-C ports so two passengers can charge their devices. If you've got three people across the back, then it's rock, scissors, paper. One of the best games ever. Better than flipping a coin. Who flips coins? It's rock, scissors, paper all the way. Anyway, storage solutions are really good. These seat back pockets, the elastic ones, are sensational. You can put so much stuff in there. It's actually pretty crazy. Plus you've got door pockets. The windows, automatic for the back seats too, which is great. They go all the way down. My kids love that. You know, when you've got the little bit there and they can't see out. And it also has anti-pinch, I hope. Yes, that's good. Plus you've got the Jesus handles, coat hooks, and a pretty powerful central LED light. Not bad. Dual ISOFIX and triple top tether child seat anchorages are also in there. You've got the adjustable headrests and fold out armrests with cup holders to make long journeys a bit more comfortable. And there's a lot of room back here. I've got surprisingly good headroom and legroom. I mean, yes, I do sit fairly close to the steering wheel, but this is very impressive for a mid-sized SUV. And how's this as well? There's a little lever back here. You can lean back and it's very comfortable. They've done a really good job back here. And I like the ergonomics of this back seat too. The bench is angled up a little bit, so I've got good spinal support, and it's got ISOFIX points, 2 of them, and 3 top tethers as well. So you're pretty much covered in every respect back here. It's a very good setup. The back seat in the Subaru doesn't feel quite as roomy as in the Tucson, and the main reason is headroom. I don't get quite as much in here, which is strange because this vehicle is taller. But anyway, legroom is better. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, but yeah, that is really, really good. The seats here have better, nicer upholstery, and you've got the little suede bits and the synthetic leather, but the seat bottoms themselves are a little bit flatter, so the ergonomics aren't quite as good, and you can't adjust the backrests either, which is a bit of a shame. Another thing is the middle seat belt comes from the roof up here, which is going to impede vision a little bit for the driver. Amenity is on par with the Hyundai, starting with 2 USB ports. You've got USB-A and USB-C, so that's kind of nice, because if someone's got the old USB-A, you have to bring a dongle, an adapter, whatever. 2 adjustable air vents as well, so both side passengers get a bit of airflow adjustability. The storage is a little bit better because the seat pockets have a few more elements to them. That's really nice. They don't stretch out as far though, so yeah, maybe it's not that different. Door pockets are pretty good. Plus you've got the fold-out armrest with cup holders. I like that. You've got the grab handles with separate little coat hooks, little bit of attention to detail there, very, very nice. And my kids are not a fan of the windows because A, they don't go down automatically, which again is poor form for a flagship, and B, they don't go all the way down. Those little kids, they can't see out, they get grumpy. You do not want grumpy kids back here. But luckily, they've got anti-pinch because that's a good family option. They don't have anti-pinch. Why do I keep doing it? Ow. But in all seriousness, this is a pretty safe car. Subaru is known for building very safe cars, 5-star ANCAP safety rating and all that. Plus you've got the twin ISOFIX child seat anchorages and 3 top tethers like in the Tucson. Righto, the Hyundai has a power operated tailgate that beeps a little bit, and it reveals a fairly large cargo area. You'll be able to get a couple of check-in suitcases in here, no problem. Heaps of grocery shopping, maybe a dozen bags of mulch. It's a good size. Hyundai's built in a fair bit of amenity into the boot too, which is good to see. So you've got 4 tie-down points. You've got these 2 cargo net anchorages that double as bag hooks. There's a 12-volt socket, and this cargo cover is actually pretty good. And the great thing is you can store it under here, so you don't have to like throw it on the porch or put it in a spare room or something at home. And best of all, it's also got a space saver spare tyre. Better than no spare tyre at all. Lastly, you get a good LED light and quick release latches for the rear seats, which opens up way more space. The back seats lock into place too, but don't go quite flat. The Subaru also has a powered tailgate that doesn't beep at you, which is nice. And it reveals a similarly sized boot space, which is interesting because when you look at the numbers on paper, the Hyundai apparently has way more space. But I've measured them.
And yeah, they're actually quite similar. So turns out the Forester has more width between the wheel arches, but a little bit less length. But overall, they are very similar, and you're gonna get the same amount of luggage, the same amount of groceries in there. Only thing is, this one has a lot more amenity. Subaru has answered the call for more bag hooks, and I am all for it. This one has a class-leading number of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, that actually work very effectively. They're circular. They've got little indents on them. They keep the bag handles in there. And there's even another 2 up here. If you've got those extra long handles, yes, they can only take 3.5 kilograms, more like plant hangers, but this is fantastic. The bane of my existence is picking up all those spilled mangoes and apples and oranges that have just exploded after you go around a roundabout. So having this little feature here is great. I love it. Thank you, Subaru. Every other car manufacturer should do this. I also like the fact you've got dual LED lights up here, really good illumination down into the cargo area. This is a good boot. There's 4 metal tie downs versus the plastic tie downs in the Hyundai. So these are probably going to be a little bit stronger, a bit more robust. And I like the fact you've got some of these topography graphics here, here, and here in the Subaru. It adds a bit of character. It's nicer seeing this stuff than just a plain, boring boot. Plus, there's this cargo net here, which is good, but there's nowhere to store it under here. In fact, there's very little storage under here for anything. Not even a space saver spare tyre, which is what a lot of EVs and hybrids have nowadays. They have nothing, which is a great shame. The petrol-powered Forester, the non-hybrid, has a full-size spare tyre. If you want a full-size spare tyre on this vehicle, it's going to cost you more than $3,000 for a special kit that plugs into your tow ball, and it means you can't tow. Yes, that $3,000 includes installation and the tyre and everything, but it's not the most elegant solution.
You do get a 12-volt socket and power-operated latches for flipping the back seats, which are a bit fancier than in the Hyundai, and likewise they open up way more space.
I absolutely love that cargo area, but for a new generation model and a flagship vehicle at that, it's missing some fruit. However, it does drive better than this one.
Righto, the Tucson, and this is a known quantity, a very competent known quantity at that. It's very easy to just hop in and drive, apart from that strange gear shifter, but you do get used to that with time. Fuss-free, you might call this car. It's also got quite a spring and step. Its on-paper power advantage translates into the real world. Whack it in sports mode and nail the throttle and it accelerates with serious venom. She likes to boogie, this one. Throttle response is prompt, and when you put it into sports mode from standstill, she can hustle. At the same token, it's really good at slower speeds, and unlike the Forester, it's far more eager to engage pure electric mode. Because the electric motor in this Hyundai leverages that 6-speed gearbox, it's got a wider breadth of capability than the Subaru, and as a result, it can maintain higher speeds in EV mode. Unlike the Subaru, it doesn't have a specific EV button, so you can't force it into EV mode. So in that respect, you do have to just be fairly careful. I found that put it in eco mode, come off the throttle, and then gently back on, and it generally stays in EV mode, and it's quite effective. Where we could only nudge about 45, 50 kilometers an hour on flat roads in the Subaru, leaning very gently on the throttle, we saw up to 80 kilometers an hour in the Hyundai. It also has a bigger battery too, which means it can run for longer periods of time in EV mode. The more time I spend driving Hyundai's plugless hybrid systems, the more impressed I am. It's a very proactive setup. The fact that the petrol engine is more muscular also helps. The Hyundai Tucson has good driving dynamics and confidently navigates everything from roundabouts in the suburbs to sweeping country road corners. Can be a lot of fun. Ride comfort is generally very good in the Hyundai, no doubt benefiting from its smaller wheels and chunkier tyres. It soaks up speed bumps and bigger hits more cleanly, but doesn't settle quite as smoothly as the Subaru over undulations. It's not bad by any stretch, but the Subaru is slightly more resolved in this respect. The Hyundai is a little more hushed in here compared to the Subaru, and there's less engine noise that intrudes into the cabin. And I think that's partially because this engine is a little bit more refined, but also because it's probably got more sound deadening materials squished in between the body panels and into the wheel arches. Visibility is pretty good for a mid-size SUV, although the rear pillars are quite thick, which makes head checking a bit challenging. But luckily, it's got blind spot monitoring. Okay, let's talk about the Subaru, and I'll cut right to the chase. I prefer driving this car, and if driving enjoyment is high on your list, I think you will too. It feels lighter on its feet, responds more willingly to inputs, and is generally more engaging to drive than the Hyundai. Subaru's chassis engineers have done a commendable job here. Sure, there's a little bit more lean through the corners due to this taller body, but simply put, it's just more satisfying to drive than the Hyundai. I find myself smiling more when I drive this than I do in the other vehicle. Ride comfort is good, and as mentioned, the Subi doesn't feel as floaty over undulations, but overall isn't quite as supple as the Hyundai. Again, this is no way near a deal breaker, and it comes down to personal preference. If you want something a little firmer and more agile, the Forester is for you. In general operation, it's not as quiet as the Hyundai. There's a little bit more road noise, and the CVT, or continuously variable transmission, exacerbates the boxer engine's noise, especially under acceleration. That said, you can drown it out with that wonderful Harman Kardon stereo. Visibility is better in the Subaru, however, thanks to its taller body and larger windows, but both vehicles have annoying safety beeps and bleeps. Thankfully, they can be turned off, but you have to do it every time you turn the car on. The fact that the Subaru is more engaging to drive makes the comparatively lackluster powertrain even more disappointing. Because if this SUV had similar engine power to the Hyundai, it would be an even better package. But it's not just performance that's lacking here. The hybrid system, ironically called a strong hybrid, doesn't live up to its marketing hype. It fades quicker than my larynx after a big weekend. Yes, Subaru's new Toyota-sourced hybrid system is significantly better than what came before it, but that's not saying much because the bar was set so low previously. The system is best described as standoffish. Even when you hit the EV button, half the time it doesn't engage. Beep, beep, beep. Speed too high. What am I doing? Like 46 kilometers an hour. And to keep it rolling in EV mode requires a lot of patience. I have discovered that if the battery charge is more than half full, it is a bit more willing to come to the party and stay in EV mode. But overall, it's a bit lackluster. I expected more from this Toyota tech. You have to drive very slowly and be very gentle with the accelerator pedal to keep the 2.5 litre Boxer engine dormant. And doing this often results in fellow motorists horn blasting you. Ultimately, the hybrid system in the Hyundai is far more eager to stay in EV mode and makes a more meaningful contribution to overall efficiency. Even the much older Toyota RAV4's hybrid system is more effective than this Subaru setup. So after a week's worth of testing, it is manifestly clear that the Hyundai uses less fuel. That's not to say the Subaru is thirsty, it's not. It's just that its hybrid system isn't as effective. And it's odd that it's not, given the Subaru's electric motor has more power and more torque. But it doesn't feel like it, and I think that's because the Hyundai's e-motor is more in tune with that 6-speed automatic transmission, because it feels like it can utilise it just as effectively as the petrol engine can. You can even feel it changing gears in EV mode, and it can drive through all 6 gears, whereas the Subaru is dealing with a CVT. Overall, there's a lot to like about the Subaru. It's significantly better to drive than its predecessor and is more fun to drive than the Hyundai. But in this new landscape, where hybridization is crucial, the Tucson ticks more boxes. Okay, so I'm back in the Tucson, which edges ahead in terms of fuel economy. But what if you're a bit of an adventurous type who wants to get to a pristine campground or an out-of-the-way hiking trail? Well, we're going to do something a little bit different and actually take these off-road. First up, we're easing in with flowing fire trails and well-maintained bush tracks. Not too much of a tough test yet. The The Tucson's all-wheel drive system keeps it planted, and its well-calibrated safety systems keep everything in check. The Forester has equally competent stability and traction systems on the dirt, but like its on-road demeanour, it just feels a little bit more responsive to inputs, a little bit more sure-footed. There's not much between them on dirt. They both feel surprisingly predictable and confidence-inspiring for what are essentially urban family haulers. But I reckon it's now time to slow things down and take these vehicles out of their comfort zone and see how the hybrid all-wheel drive systems work on some very tricky terrain. And spoiler alert, the off-road modes matter big time. Okay, back in the Tucson now, and this sort of terrain is not somewhere you would expect to see one of these Korean cruisers plugging its way through. Okay, so I don't want to dip the passenger side wheels too deeply into these ruts, so I've got to be careful with vehicle placement because this thing does not have a chin spoiler. So obviously this vehicle has no low range gearing, no diff locks, no disconnecting sway bars. So what tools have I got in the shed? Well, I hit the terrain button here and I can cycle through snow, mud and sand. And I'm going to start with sand, and I want to get as close as I can to this edge. It's going. We're moving. Oh, whoa, okay. Oh, I can smell clutch. All right, little bit of angle. Mud mode is turned off. Traction control and a number of other systems. My foot is to the floor. I'm getting no purchase. All right, so we'll back it up a little bit. Okay, we'll try snow mode now. And it's interesting, it's in pure EV mode at the moment. Oh no, petrol engine's kicked in. I cannot seem to get up this section. It must be a little too steep. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin, come on, come on, come on. No, all right, let's back up again a little bit. Okay, it's very hard to maintain momentum here, so we're going to go with sand. Wish me luck. Oh, yes! Sand mode for the win. I didn't think it was going to do that. Well done, you little Tucson. This next section is too gnarly. I'm going to have to back up. Easy. Oh, going down backwards is almost scary. Doing 2 kilometers an hour. My heart rate is off the scale. Okay, back in the Forester, and if reputations are anything to go by, this should be a walk in the park. Okay, so the Forester has 3 off-road modes like the Tucson: normal, snow dirt, and deep snow mud. Oh, she's definitely spinning the wheels more than the Tucson. Maybe the all-wheel drive system isn't quite as proficient. Oh yeah, she's spinning the wheels. The Tucson was far more gentle. This one is just, oh, I'm in normal mode, X mode at the moment. Nah, foot to the floor, nothing. She's not budging. All right, we'll back it up a little. Try the next mode. Next we'll try deep snow mud. That sounds reasonable. All right, take 2, the tricky section. Oh, come on. Surely it's gonna beat the Tucson. I've got about half throttle, full throttle. Nah, same issue, not happening. Oh, I thought for a second, nah. I hope it gets up in this third mode, or it could be a bit embarrassing. So I'm really watching for ground clearance in the Subaru, but it's not quite as heart in mouth as in the Tucson, because this one technically has almost 40 millimeters more ground clearance. It's like 181 millimeters in the Tucson versus something like 220 in this. But it's funny, when I look at it, it doesn't look like 40 millimeters difference. Certainly this has got a little bit more, but maybe not 4 centimeters. Into the third and final X mode, snow dirt. Wish me luck. No, the Forester cannot
do it. Oh, it's bringing dishonor to its family. Let's see if we can get a little bit more momentum. It's funny because the Tucson, in that final mode, I think it was sand, it just gripped up and seemed to go. Didn't need too much extra momentum, but we'll give it a little bit of a squirt. Oh, I did it. Just. No way. All right, honor restored. Just. But I tell you what, definitely felt like the Tucson did it easier, which I was not expecting. This one certainly spun its wheels more and really did struggle on that last obstacle. And again, there's no way I'm getting up there. I am gonna absolutely rip the front end of this vehicle apart if I go up there. So back down we go. It must be said that a lot of this tricky stuff is mostly full throttle application and letting the all-wheel drive systems do their thing. There's a little bit of momentum involved, but with so little ground clearance, you don't want to be spearing into sheer faces of rock too quickly. Overall, I'm impressed that either of these cars got this far up what is a reasonably challenging ascent. I will say this, if this is the way you've got to take your kids to school, maybe find a new school. Ooh. It's not hard to see why the Subaru Forester is the Japanese brand's top seller. And this new model improves the recipe significantly. If you're a rusted-on Subaru loyalist, this is easy to recommend. There's a lot to like here. But when you compare it to one of the benchmarks in the segment, the Tucson, it can't quite keep up. And the fact that it didn't do as well on some challenging terrain was very interesting. In saying that, this battle was very, very close, and you're not going to be disappointed with whichever vehicle you purchase out of these two. But as the Highlander famously said in 1986, there can be only one. And in this fight, the Hyundai Tucson, once again, is the victor. I don't think anyone expected the Tucson to have the edge off-road. That is traditionally the domain of the Subaru. But as it stands, this was a very close battle. And I reckon if the hybrid systems were on a more equal footing, this fight could have gone either way. But as it stands, the Tucson toppled the RAV4 Hybrid, and now it's claimed victory over the Subaru Forester as well. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you bought either of these vehicles, would you have intentions to take them off-road, or would they just be used for the school run? Have your say in the comments below.